something a little bit larger, and I'm going on to a series now of some French scenes, some streets, some figures and so on. And I want to be slightly more contemporary, slightly more abstract in my way of doing it. Although we're going to be working on a figurative theme, we're going to use more abstraction and looseness with it. So I don't just want to paint this photograph straight off. It's a rather nice photograph. And a quick shot I took as I wandered around the streets in Toulouse. And I saw this huddle of people, and it's got a story to it. That's the point. And I want to bring out that story, that other dimension to it, where the woman is holding her hand up to her head, obviously has problems, and her friends listening in, giving advice. But what's more important to me as well is the people around that may be listening in, how much privacy they're actually getting, although they're talking in a huddle here, and the movement and the body language is about huddling in, that these people all around are possibly able to hear and listen and are observing. And although they're seemingly minding their own business, just how much privacy is there? So it's rather nice painting to do, and I want to play with the abstraction and the paint and the surfaces and the planes and dimensions, as well as capture this feeling of this secrecy going on in this cafe, in a public place. Now you'll also notice that I've done a couple of pieces on this one. I've done the one that I've just shown you, and I've also done another one which is more abstract, and have posterized it to deliberately pull the shapes and colours out so that I can play with those more so on the computer. We're going to make a start on this picture of the figures huddled around the table, the secret. And I'm going to start fairly abstractly and try and work the whole thing fairly loosely all the time, playing with these shapes and colours. So I'm going to start with my sponge roller again. So I've got my usual little set of brushes here. I've got a large one out just to mix with at the moment, and I'm going to mix into this tray here with my sponge roller. I've got my palette next to it, and the Stay Wet palette as well here, that I've invented myself from the sandwich box. Very handy and quite inexpensive. So here's my pictures, the ordinary one and the posterised one here, which is rather fun. And I want to start working at these background colours, just enjoying them. And again, as I did before, I'm going to work from my lighter colours forward. And just play with these colours at the moment, just play with the background, just enjoying myself with these. As you see, the colours are fairly transparent. We said this before when we did the swans. You can see how we can paint loosely with the rollers and then just work up some of the areas a little bit more. I'm going to work on this piece next. Here's the picture we're using. It's rather a nice one with these two girls behind the window giving another dimension to the work, totally. The leaded glass across it, and then these two girls. Again, it's all within this theme at the moment of secrets, of people talking personally to each other or things going on between relationships between people. But in this case I rather like it because of the distortions between panes of glass. What I have got a problem with though is this background, a lot of wall there, so I want to play around with the abstract qualities of this as well as then working up the glass on the surface. So I'm going to work the background up first, play around with that, and then finally come back to the glass and the abstract qualities of the facets of these leaded strips that are going to divide it up, and they aren't directly squared across the canvas. Deliberately they've been into perspective slightly, just to give it that slight distortion of dimension as well. Again, I don't know which directions I'm going with it. I might add, I might change, I don't know quite what I'm going to do here, but I'm going to play with masking tape at the end to get these sharper edges. But we'll just see how it develops, shall we? Use my brush to mix up the paint. I want it fairly liquid for this job, and I'm going to be using a nice warm brown first of all, and adding colours into that, I think. Add a little bit of orange and pink to that. Let's see what sort of colours we get doing this now. I'm going to say this is quite new to me. I don't know what I'm going to be doing here apart from a fairly abstract piece at the moment. So I need to cover this canvas first of all. Like I say, I want to be fairly abstract with it. Hands there, so I need to paint that in some detail later. We'll just work around it at the moment. And let's have some play with some colour here. I want to start, say, being a bit more abstract with it, and I don't want to just stick with the plain colours that are on the photograph. Your hand actually has too, so not any harm to, where the hand is under there, to come right through there. Just glaze over the hand with it and the arm. Let the colour glow through afterwards. Trying something new, and as I said, it's only a cheap canvas, so what's the harm in experimenting? If we don't try new things, we're not going to advance at all, so quite often we have to come and try new things. Actually, this pink is coming through this lighter colour here quite a bit, so I'm going to come right through there. Right, I want to start getting a lighter orange mix now across here. Far more attractive. I don't want to be painting all the brickwork in, but I do want to try and get the feeling of this glow of the stonework and the brickwork behind. A little bit of blue into that now. A bit more white. We'll start to get a background colour down here. Flowing through. A bit of cerulean into that as well. Get that mixed up. Start to bring this through here. And I'm going to put a lighter colour over this soon. I want this blue just showing through. It's got to dry off a bit. Right down through. It's lovely overlapping, but quite fun. Now this time I'm going to make a slightly more orange-red mix. I'll take some cadmium red. A little bit of orange into that. A bit more orange over in a minute. And brush to one side and try and get this to really pick up some of that orange red. Back onto the canvas again and hold this stripe here. And this lovely red glass that comes all the way down through there. So you want to keep the abstract quality of this as well, you see. All the way down here. Down here the same. Just about here has a bit of warmth coming into it. Some of these colours do a fraction more. And the other way around, a bit of purple into that colour. A nice strong purple. A little mixture of the yellow and red with it, just to tint down in places some of this red. Down here especially. Coming across some of this, a little bit darker in places. Be sure I'm not got a curve on that. It's difficult when I'm working at an angle like this so you can see what I'm doing, because I might get a slight curve. And we'll start to work these darks over the hair as well. Back on that in a moment. There we go. Right, I'm going to make some light blue now. Going through. Do some vertical strokes to get the feeling of the vertical section of the wall there. Start to get the light coming down her fingers even into this bit. The same on this hand, I suspect. A bit of light blue just coming through onto this as well, just to link it. blurries up here, but it could be quite useful, so I'll bring a bit of it in there. Right, I'm coming to gradually lighten the thing up now, so I'm wanting a bit more white. Using a heavy body white, so it takes a bit of getting going on the roller. Cream into it. So I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre to this, not too much. Just want a bit more creaminess. It's still white, but it's got a cream tint to it. Don't have to use the brush yet, I'm still playing around with this. Lighter colours of this. What I'm doing really is just pulling out the highlights, aren't I? And we want it to be a little bit blurry behind here anyway, as if it's reflecting through the windows. I think we've almost done enough to warrant letting it dry and thinking about some of the blacks now. Too much light in the background here, just a little bit, just to work around these edges. Right, at this stage I'm just going to start masking taping some of the darker areas, all of them, just to get some sharp edges. Don't need all of them by any means yet. Just give us an idea how it's going to come out, won't it? Okay, now it's time to take off these bits of masking tape and we'll see if it's a nice sharp edge, which we have. So we're starting to get these nice sharp black lines that I want leading into the windows. Right, next I want to redraw out where these leaded lines are coming again to start working in and around these areas of paint at the edge of the panes of glass where they're slightly distorted. 19, 2 9s are 18, so now this is a Chinograph pencil, you can see, and it should make a much darker mark. Let's just test that on here. It's a lovely dark mark, so I can bring that. But things with Chinograph pencils, they don't come off, so what I've got to watch here is that the ones with the triangles, of course, stop part way. So I shan't be going all the way down here because there's one down here. But what I just want to do at the moment is just mark it up. It doesn't completely level off even when it comes right up here, but now we've got to get these about equal. So if I'm going to do that, I've got to work out 1, 2, 3 equal parts going up to there. Make sure this is square to the side of the canvas. Bring it across from here, yeah, that's correct. So now I want them on this way. See if I can get that angle about right. I've already measured these once, as you know, so I shouldn't be far off. Now we'll take that, make sure the paper's level with the top. 1.5 down here, should be there. Let's see if that angle's going to be right. In which case that length there is 2, it should be 2 to here, and that is correct. So if I go from there to there, first of all I've got to make sure this is on the right line. There'll be a slight distortion in it because of the angles. Now, most of the rest are going to be almost the same. They'll flip from there to there. So what I've got to do next is cut a piece of card to fit that. It's not going to be absolutely perfect, but just near enough to get the scale right. Now that way it was that way up, so down here it reverses, it comes this way up. So down here I need to be putting it at that angle. It's a bit of technical drawing amongst all this freedom, but not to worry. There we go. So that's the diamond down there. And on the line here, that way up this time. In reality, depending on the size of this window, the ones down lower might be smaller than the ones up higher because we're closer up to the top. But for the purpose of this painting, not necessary. And here, that way up. There we go, that's ready for me now to start painting in and around again. Right, now I'm going to work to a 1/2 inch filbert and start to tint up and work up some of these more detailed colours and washes in the background. Let's start with the hair here as an example. A bit more colour coming in there. To keep it simple and fairly simple brush strokes, but I want smaller brushes as well. So I want this lighter colour coming in here of the pinks. The way that light comes down the side of that there. So starting to get the light reflecting against the leading here now. We know these acrylics are going to sink slightly, so I'm going to paint a little bit lighter than I need, just to get that working so that when it sinks back it'll still be in existence. And then it goes almost into a light blue there, so a little bit of cerulean blue and white. I've already mixed that a little bit with the paint I've put on, but now back to my pink. And we'll really try to find this bit of light colour that's coming down here into the fingers. The same here, I'll have a little bit stronger in places for warmth. My mouth, just around this area. So the tummy here is just showing a bit, so we'll have a little bit more light just painted around there. Now, take a little bit of the light blue and just indicate her curls just a little bit here. It's a much lighter orange just there, where the hair comes around here. Now, where we need to just pick into these darks a little in the background. Try and get the drawing of her head just a bit better. Now you want to start hinting at these beautiful blues that are happening down here. From the turquoise colours. This will help play against the forms around it. Now I want to start glazing up these lighter colours around the areas I'm going to do very dark shortly. And start this lovely idea of looking through these areas. I'm just going to take a larger brush and just mix a thin glaze of magenta, very thin, just want to wash over this slightly. Sort of feeling around these window panes just a little more. Right, I think we're about ready to go ahead and play with the blacks now. On top of this, just a little bit more light into here. So I'm going to tape up all of these parts, bearing in mind that I mustn't come right through those. Paint that on neat, no water at all, just straight down with black paint onto that. Don't normally use black, but in this case I want a very dark sooty effect against the colour, so that my darks that are in the painting will actually be more colourful. Now, hopefully these bits that I painted just now around the lead will look like light that's just reflecting on the edge of the glass. And let that dry off, then we can do the cross ones. Hopefully we'll start to see the effect we're going to get behind the black. There we go. And there we are, ready to put the ones going across. So, in fact, I'm only painting this part up to here. And there. Up to here. Right. Diagonals. I want to come back and just tart up in between the diamonds where I made a mess and forgot not to paint. Now I just want to bring out some of these lovely colours that I've lost a little bit. Okay, I think we finished this one. Just want to zoom in and let you have a good look at it. Moving on to a new project now, triptych. We're going to do this series of people in Toulouse, all these senior citizens sitting along this long park bench, lovely dark leaves above, and I thought they're such individual characters, and to have them all sat there in such poses. It's a lovely photograph anyway, but I'd like to do it in that more contemporary, looser style I've just been using with the rollers, and then work it up again, concentrating down onto the features a bit later on, but getting all of this lovely colour and looseness and more abstraction first, and then just, as I say, just tightening on the salient points. So I've drawn it out on these 3 canvases, 24 by 24s. I'd like to have had 36s, but I haven't got any to spare, and of course it all costs money, so I got these reasonably, and we'll have a go at painting these, keep me occupied. I'm going to need to find a way to fix them together at the back. I might just put a couple of rods across the back, or bars across the back, rather than fix them at the corners. I think a couple of 1/2 inch by 2s should do it, battens, and just while I'm working on it, people can then hang them separately or hang it together as they wish when it's finished, but I want to paint it as one piece. Well, now something a little different, as you can see. Larger one, 3 panels. More difficult doing larger ones in the commercial sense, as people don't, it cuts the market down, people don't have larger houses. At least with the triptych you can take it apart and spread them out if you want to. But just occasionally I like to do bigger works and don't like to be held back by the constraints of selling them. But this is something I have to deal with. Anyway, we're going to work as usual with the sponge roller right through the backgrounds and so on. Try and loosen up again and keep a fairly contemporary feel to it. Right, it's time to be getting on with this big one now. We'll start mixing up with the lighter colours first. The background here is treated very abstractly. Just use these shapes and patterns to enjoy myself and paint about the object rather than actually a touch of yellow ochre into it. Won't make him too sunburnt, but we can still just see the drawing through there, so I can work it up later. Well, this is what we've got to this evening, and we've worked now in with the rollers and now worked up with the brushes to get a basic layering. I don't need to do too much more, it's nice and loose, but I do want to bring out the vibrancy of these colours, a little bit more of the abstraction of shapes as well, lights and darks. Right, well, this morning I'm going to be continuing with this piece. We're now on to the final loose work and trying to bring the brighter colours up. I'm also going to wear my little GoPro on my front. It's interesting to see how this shows the painting techniques a bit closer up, see if it works or not. Right, so we're on the final and last stage of this work, and I want to start brightening up these colours. Now, this area of the face here on the figure, it's very white on here, and I'd like to make it a bit warmer, so I'm going to take some cadmium orange and white first of all, so a bit of white first, always mix with the colour first. Let's have a look at these areas of warmth here. Stand back and take a look. Don't know, it's working it against the... I need to go to get back and do this as well. While I'm at it, I'll just warm her nose up a little bit back here. stop about there and take stock. So there we go. Right, having done the large triptych and this one behind me and another one through the window, I think it's time to do a couple of smaller pieces now, some quite rapid studies. This rather nice one, again keeping on this theme of secrets, so we're always dealing with some underlying story in the picture, not just a copy. Going beyond that, so we're dealing with the abstraction, the paint, the surface, the dimensions, but the dimension of what's happening spiritually, what's happening behind closed windows, what's happening through windows, what's happening between people. Here we've got a bicycle, just a simple bicycle in front of a building. Why has it been left there? What's it doing? So the story here is what's happening. There's a door, there's a window, something's happening inside here. This bike's been left by who, for what purpose? Plus we just got to go for an attractive image. Nice bright French colours, enhancing and separating out, posterising the colours. So let's see what we can do with a very simple scene of just basic block shapes and some textures, starting with the sponge and then finishing off with more detail with the brush. Now, we want to start with the lightest colours and gradually work through. With acrylics we can work one or the other, but it's still wiser, I think, to work our lightest colours first and gradually build up. So I'll start with 3/4 inch brush here, just to mix my colours before I even use the roller. Again, I've got my palette ready here, the tray for roller and mixing, the roller itself for mixing palette and paints, for using the brushwork later. And I'm going to start with the white. As I say, always start with your lightest colour, and a little bit of lemon yellow into that, just to give a very light cream to start with. Working into my larger palette at the moment, a bit of water into that to get things wetter, just to help fill the. Especially when we start off, there's because the sponge is not wet, unless you damp the sponge earlier. It takes a bit to get the sponge going, and I want to get a sort of broken colour effect going here, so plenty of white, a little touch of the lemon yellow, just to give it a tint. I'm going to play a little bit of other colours over that later. I don't just like pure white. I very seldom use pure black or pure white, if anything. It's always a colour that I'm using. So again, here we go, let's work this lighter colour here in, comes right up through here, quite a nice even, and the beauty of this stuff is that you can see the pencil drawing just underneath, so I know where I'm going to be putting my next colour, so it's quite handy. And that cream comes right the way through here, behind there as well, leading a little bit across here, in there. So a very light cream, a nice flat colour in this case. Comes down into there, through here, even through the bushes, the vines and things on the wall. Let's give it a second coat to build up a little bit more. And just down to the edge of the door here, and that's that ready. Next colour, so our next lightest would be a sort of mid-grey. So to make a grey, the easiest way is blue and brown. Then depending which blue and which brown, this gives you the grey. Don't use black and white, it gives you a very sooty effect. So we can make our greys with that. And in this case, there's a little bit of purple into it as well. So what I'm going to do is take a touch of purple and mix that up with the cream we've just done. The tiniest touch of burnt sienna, just to take it down slightly warmer. Not be too much. And a little bit of cerulean blue into that. Put a bit more white back in. That should give me my mid-grey there. And that mid-grey is coming down the window side here, all the way down here. Lovely purple grey, all the way down there. Great fun painting like this, and it's so quick. Cover areas with it. Of course I could use a brush, but it's just nice to be able to get these textures and be so loose as well with what we're doing. Comes around right through the bicycle here, which we can see underneath it. Now I can still see my bicycle underneath there, right down to the saddle, and up this side here, using the edge of the roller a bit more now because it's slightly narrower here. I'm going to go over that later. Again, it's one of the beauties of acrylics, we can work one light over dark or dark over light. And we've got that same grey going on over here. Some of this area here, just on the stonework there. Like this slightly out of focus effect you can get with it as well. It's a lovely feeling of light, especially when we're dealing with this French light as well. All the way down the side here. Again, I'm using the edge of the roller more now. Right, so you can see how we can apply it, and also how we can apply one colour over another in a moment as well. Right, I want a little bit yellower into that. Take some lemon yellow again, a little bit of lemon yellow, a little bit more white, go back to a little bit more yellow, and show it down here. This is how we can overlay things so easily. You can overlay a bit more yellow across there, look. Down through into here, through there, and down this side as well, where we need it. Now, have we got that colour anywhere else? If we've got it somewhere else, we need to lay it on now. And in fact, there's a little bit of that grey coming through some of the pavement here, so I'm going to start to put some of that in through here in places, just to link things together. We want to be fairly abstract with this. And then we've got a bit more purple, so I'm going to take some more of that purple, mix that in, a little bit of yellow with that purple, just to take it down a bit, more yellow and purple, and a touch of blue, a wee touch of, it's a bit bluer this mauve, that's better. Very subtle colour, so I'm putting a little bit of cobalt in now, a little bit of cobalt into my purple. Here's a bit more. Bluey purple now. Every colour leans towards a warm and a cool. We'd have a cool yellow with lemon yellow, we'd have a warm yellow with chrome yellow, and so on. Now, we'll just look at what happens inside the window frame here. We've got this is quite deep purple happening in here. Right through there, this bluey purple. Flowers, through behind the flowers there. And through the window pane here, just put a bit there, I can bring in the brushwork later and cover it over. Right through behind the flowers there. That's that. And that comes up to there. Do we have that anywhere else? No, because it starts to go a lot bluer after that in places. So that's the only place though where that purple is. We have a little touch of it perhaps into there a little bit again. Maybe there's a little bit going on down here with a bit more red as well. just a little touch of the texture in there. I'm going to do that with brushes and things later more. Or sponge maybe. Yes, I might use an ordinary sponge on that because it's nice to have some more texture with the sponges as well. So nice and clear, nice and plain. Now this blue for the door. We'll play with that next. Let's take a lovely cerulean blue straight in. Nice strong cerulean blue. And this whole door wants to be the cerulean blue. All the way down. I'm going to put some green into that in a minute as well. Right the way down to the base here. A little bit stronger. We've still got the colour coming through from previously. Right, a little bit stronger down there, right through to here, and a little bit coming through the window. Now this blue up here as well, it's a little bit bluer just through here, and the shadow bit just here. I'm going to put some deep blue over there in a moment, just to get us going. And a beautiful cerulean blue coming all the way down this edge here. Use the edge of the roller again, come all the way down there. Take some pure paint all the way down, right up to the top here. Again, we can come back and tidy this up later. To get the basic effects. And we've got a lovely turquoise down the bottom, so I'm going to take now some turquoise and white. There's a much lighter version of the yellowy version of the cerulean blue. So turquoise and white. Again, get that onto my roller. Let's have a look at that colour. Look how different that is. It's a lovely. Now I'm going to deliberately put it into the more pure turquoise. Just drag some of that through here. There's a bit more texture into it. See down the bottom here. Same thing on the door. Bring it back up again now. There's sort of more greeny tint on the door down here. Talking about green now, I'm going to take some light green, a little bit of white into it, and I'm not even bothering to clean the roller. I can just mix these colours together as they go, and we'll just bring that green down the door again here, and look at the lovely colours we get as it shines across, using the edge of the roller to get these effects. And again, the green coming across here, down and through. We get this mixture of colours right down to the bottom here. And that green, now we've got to bring that up to the shutters here. And we've got an area in between here, which is the shutter. All the way down here. Right down to the bottom there. A little bit coming in and certainly where these leaves are here over the top of the bike we've got this nice turquoise green coming in, which we'll play with a bit later on as we bring other colours through it, but for the moment let's just get some of it in here while we're at it. Comes right over the back of the bike there, and these plants here as well. It starts to come through those a bit. Down there, and also up into the plants that are above here, where we had the greens earlier. So when you have a colour on your brush or on your roller, wherever, it goes elsewhere, put it in elsewhere. Purple on those later, but we're just marking them just a fraction. just so I know where they're going. Through the bike here, down there. Right, time to go to our warmer colours now. We need to start working on this area of the wall. So I'm going to wash my palette out. I need a sort of warm mustard yellow there. So I guess my best bet on that is to start again with the white and add a little bit of yellow ochre to it. It's got a slightly more greeny tint to that, so I'm going to add some lemon yellow to that and a little touch of the light green. That's about right. Well, you can see that colour there, but that's giving me that sort of yellowy mustard green. Just test it on there. Yeah, that's about the right colour. Perhaps a fraction down yet, so I'll take it a little bit more paint into it, a little bit more of the green. Just make it a fraction stronger. Unlike watercolour, of course, this doesn't dry lighter, it dries about the same colour, but it will sink a little bit, that's the point. Plenty of colour on there, might have to mix a bit more yet. There we go. Make it a bit stronger, we'll take some more, slightly deeper green, some more yellow ochre. I need to go a bit stronger with it now. Through into these leaves a bit here, leaving some of the turquoise showing nice and strong. We can come back on that later, and we notice that the colour actually comes right down here into the path. Around that plant. Around the wheel of the bike, through the wheel of the bike just there. You can just see the wheel of the bike still, so I'm alright for seeing it later for my drawing. We'll let that dry a moment before putting the next colour on top. Now while that base coat's drying, I'm just working up a few of these darks, a bit darker into these windows and things here. So I've mixed some deeper green and blue, some ultramarine blue together, just to go that wee bit darker up here. I'll start to work up some of these more textural colours down here. While I'm still waiting for this to dry, I'm going to go on down here, and we want an even deeper, more mustard colour down there. I'm going to take some raw umber, in fact, not burnt umber, add some sienna to that, add some viridian green to it, and that should give me that lovely browny, yeah there we go, lovely browny colour that I want for brown green for that down there, which again the computer has given me, which is rather nice. Let's see what that colour does. See if we get the right one. Yes, that's a lovely brown green there. Again, with a wet roller, I've got to mix so much to get it going. Right up through here. I don't particularly redraw the bike, I can see, because I'm starting to lose it, but not to worry. Already we can start to see this feeling of light that we want, just starting to play now on the wall here. And we've got a yellow-brown going on a bit lower down amongst the window frame. Just a bit more yellow ochre and yellow back into that. Let's just see if we can find this bit of frame here, a bit more yellow still, right through these plants again. And down inside the window frame here. Now we've got a lovely pinky rose colour coming through here, so again I'm going to start with a bit of white just to give me a body. I've got a big enough body already, and a bit of rose, so and a bit of magenta and a little bit of lemon yellow into that as well, because it's not quite as magenta-ish as I've got here. I'm going to put some more colour out shortly. There we go, that's a nice pinky yellow all the way down across. Lovely bit of these sponges, sponge rolled with some wonderful textures. We can just let the light begin to glow through there as well. Some of the pink a bit more strongly to there, and a little bit of this pink just glowing through where I've just been here on the window. Some of the pink just showing through the leaves here. And even the door a little bit, so that it all links together. So I put a bit of that pink using the roller. Amazing how finely we can paint with the roller, just using the edge of the roller around the bicycle wheel a bit here. Right round that edge. We've got the other wheel, the same pink. Not easy to see it now, but we know it's up here. Just coming around that edge there. Just hint at the bicycle wheel there. Right. I want an even stronger orangey yellow, so I'm going to take some chrome yellow and add it to that. It's going to give me a really strong, vibrant. That comes down below here as well, front of the bike. Up through here. Right up, as I say, into these bits. Even down through some of that. Lovely colours, which you wouldn't always see unless you did some enhancing on the computer. It's easy to see things when you play around with things like this. It's a pleasure to paint when you're able to have as much fun as this. Now I need a richer purple colour. I'm going to take some magenta again. Add a little bit of my mauve to it, just there, along that edge, and all the way along here, right the way along to the bike, and one of the handlebars there, just above here, they're coming up from there, and they're just at the end here. Bring that easel up again so I can let go. There we go, and start to bring through these bits of the, and we've got it happening up through here as well. So a little bit more purple and warmth into it now. A little bit more red going on in some of these areas. Gradually building up then from our lights to our darks, darker. Now, we need these dark colours of the windows. Put those in. We need a fairly deep warm green for that. To take my orange that I used earlier and simply add some green into it. We shouldn't be far out with that, it should be quite warm then. And these plants here, we can now get the greens in for those. I can paint the rest in later. So basic underpainting is done. And it'll be time to start working up with sponges and a brush, I think, next. Right, next I want to start using these sponges, these sea sponges. We use roller and sponge to try and get the textures of the leaves and so on around here, and the textures on the foreground here as well. So I'm going to use my same brush just to get the paint ready into the palette, and then dab it on. Now, which sponge do I want first? I want a fairly textural one first, so we'll use some ultramarine, lovely texturing, one colour against another, so we're getting slightly broken colour. And I'm going to drag it in places as well, just slightly. I'm going to just drag this along, and those blues come up into the leaves. I'll put some of these in with brushes down here because they aren't quite the same type of leaf, but we'll just get some texturing going. Now we start to get the lighter greens. We're just starting with our lighter colours. So I'm going to start bringing some of these. Now we're going to put the first of our darks on. Again, just down here, feeling our way around the shadow, some of the texturing on the leaves here. Again, I'm going to do quite a bit with brushes later. I just want to establish a little bit of the texturing here now. Only a little. So, we finished with the rollers. I think we finished with the sponges. Now it's time to come up and start mixing some of these pure colours again and getting them back in again in little streaks and stripes and positions that are salient points for instance, I'm just mixing a little cerulean and white at the minute, and we should be able to just start hinting at this business of a window here, trying to reproduce this faithfully. And as a friend of mine in France said recently to me, very wisely, less is more. His paintings are very minimalist and they're wonderful pieces of creation, and I appreciate what he said there. I have a job to minimalise, I must admit, but I've got to start doing that more here now. I'm going to start to find these windows a little more, just define them a bit more. Now we've got the effect of light, let's bring them out and really find these beautiful blues going up through here. As I was saying earlier, when the colour's on your brush, if it's supposed to be somewhere else, you put it in there. A little bit of blue coming around the back of the bicycle here, a little bit down around the bottom of the wheel here, and then a light blue going on behind, whiter still. We know they're going to sink slightly, so get them a little bit lighter, and we can start to paint these leaves in as well. So the texturing of the sponge wasn't good enough for these particular leaves. We needed to get actual brush marks into these, and I've got a feeling around here the same. We need to bring these little bits of leaf in here, with the brush marks. A lovely play between warm and cool greens. Same here. We'll find these colours, appearing all over the place. They're not just one colour. There we go. And you can see it's just starting to come together now, isn't it? Just starting. I'm going to have a bit of fun and just whack in some of these reds here of the flowers just for a moment, in a minute. But first I need to just take a bit of this blue, and we need to find this window frame here. The reflected light happening into the darks here. Really look for all of these colours where they are. Much warmer. Just through here, coming into the road. Now to play against that warm red, I'm going to take some cooler red, which is the burnt sienna. Put a little touch of purple into that. And just bring these down a bit. And some deeper blue, take some Prussian, add it to that. Start to find some of these darks, just to find them a bit more before I put blacks in. Here's I'm putting some pure ultramarine down here with a little touch of the red. Just tickling my lines down, feeling them as I go. We start to get a much more three-dimensional feel to it. Still not using black, I'm still using my Prussian blue and a bit of brown or warmer colour, just to build up into these darks and try and get the shadows, quite strong shadows going on here. Get this feeling of light. I'm going to come back in a moment with some lighter colours. I'm going to have to face up to doing this bike in a minute, which I'm trying to avoid all this time. It's got to happen. Still using my large brush. I will need to change down at some stage, but I'm trying to get away with it at the moment. And I'm going to have to go back in and paint around it to get it right. There's no point leaving it like it is. And with a few colours slapped in here and there, we'll soon bring that back again, I'm sure. As I say, we're just giving an impression of the bike, we're not trying to copy it exactly. Bring pure colour in again. If we can make it better. That's more the colour. It comes right round. Black wheel. Doesn't look so as thick as that. Get there bit by bit. Adjustments need doing, so there we go, we're doing them. Let's go down a brush size now. There we go. And we'll put back in some of these very light blues that we had, pinky blues here earlier. I just have to come around it a bit more to find what I'm doing, because I'm just sitting a bit too far back to see that what's happening here. I have to try and get these warmer colours that are happening in the tyre. So now I'm using a little more yellow ochre into my pink, just to get this warmer feel through here. Try and get the right colours showing here. Now, very light cream, light green to cream, just around the tyre here, just so we can get this little line working around here a bit. And we find a colour sometimes we haven't mixed and I think, oh, that's the one, that's the one. I've got to come back with those very light creams I made earlier, the lemon yellow and white. So a lemon yellow and white, almost pure white but not quite. That's what we can do with that. That's a bit better. I've got a lot thicker paint on my brush. Because I want to come down to here where the light's really shining through and plaster on this cream a bit more here. Just a subtle hint of this cream. And this light is coming right down into the leaves here. So now I'm able to, unlike watercolour, unless we use gouache, I'm able to paint my light back in again and really work up the bits of light against dark. Having got my textures, I can come back with a small brush and try and recreate this mottled effect with the leaves coming down through here, sunlight happening across this window ledge. Really strong, bright light that comes down through, slabs down through there. Sharp edges then. Here against the... There we go. And so what's happening inside, we wonder. Now let's go back to our shadows a little. Just see if we can find some of these again. Something we can do with these acrylics, you see, we can work over and again. We've got the light shining here. I'm trying to get it to come through and down so that this whole area is shadowed down here. Again, we've got to get this reflected light coming off the plants onto things. Other than that, I think we're almost there. And there's the way that this lovely yellow-green comes down into everything down here. And there we are. Suddenly a painting can come together. And I think this one just has. It's about done. Just need to touch a few little bits up here and there, but not a lot. It's where to sign it, not much space left. You could even use the end of the wooden brush just to give us a final line here and there. on to the next one of the smaller series of the secrets, and again acrylics. We may use a bit of the same technique as the last one, being of the same pair, sponge rollers and the sea sponges for texture. Here again another story going on, an empty street, the market's finished, we've got one or two figures just going about. Where's she crossing to? The figure behind on the bicycle going away. So it's a more peaceful, tranquil scene, an almost everyday scene, as people just go to their own business, just thinking about things perhaps as they walk, where they're going, what they're doing, what's happening in life. So not quite so deep in the force of what's going on. Anyway, just an everyday French scene in a little village in the coast there down near Provence. Right, starting off again with a brush to mix up, ready for the small roller. So a nice 3/4 inch filbert just to start me off before I move on to a small roller. And again, I want to work from the lightest to darkest. We're going to use our cooler yellows, which is the lemon yellow at first, white, a bit of lemon yellow. Now in this painting I'm not going to discuss it right the way through. You've seen how the other one was done just now. What I'm going to do with this one is put it onto speed painting again for you, so we can just whip through it and see the whole thing happen before your very eyes. So from this moment onwards I'm not going to discuss it, we'll just see it happen. Now, having finished those smaller 2 paintings, I'm going on to a medium-sized one. Not very large this time, because I've got some bigger canvases coming. But I'd rather like to have a go at one of these market scenes, full of the yellows, the bright, strong colours again, the brightness and the cheerfulness of the French markets. So we're going to have a go at this one, and I'm going to use acrylics at first on this one, but finish with the oils, because I want that really intense colour of the oil paint. At least that's what I suspect I'll do. Of course it might change, I might manage with the acrylics alone, we'll see. So let's just see how this develops anyway. So again, we're going to start with the sponges and acrylics, work our way up, and possibly finish with the oils on this one. Okay, let's get into this beautiful yellow golden work here. Again, we want to start with our lightest colours, and I'm going to use the roll up first. Make a nice warm cream. So I'll use some chrome yellow to start with. And then a lot of paint to do this job, it's good fun. Straight into it. Block out all these background shapes. Lovely creams going on. Lightest colours first then. And we'll see if we need the oils at all, who knows? May not. see how loosely it's painted, gradually tightening up. If we start loose and finish tight, we are the ones in control. We can say it's finished whenever we like. Hi there. Well, we're about to start this nice big one next to me. Lovely scene. One I've been looking forward to doing. Because it's nice and large, I can play around with the and experiment with the paint a bit more and the textures and the techniques. So without much more ado, let's get into this and really see if I can take this a little stage further, shall we? And have some great fun. it all is very abstract to start with, and as you think about it, most figurative painting obviously contains the abstract, doesn't it? It's going to be abstract because it's got abstract shapes and qualities in it, of dimension, of form, of colour intensity and tone. All of the things that we're painting about in figurative painting has abstract qualities. So, I'm mixing these colours up in nice slabs. Just got to get the tones almost exactly right if we can. And that might, in this case, mean adding a little bit of magenta, a lot more white, a little touch more yellow in that. Subtle differences in the colours, we've got to find them to get them right. A little more pink. Just very subtle colour changes. The paint out of the brush, use it all up. There we are, almost identical to the previous one. And of course you're able, with this GoPro camera, to actually get the view that I'm getting. Which is rather fun to actually share the painting in, almost in reality. Reality TV, wow. This grey, let's see if we can get that colour going. I'll put some more white out, I think. And it's a lovely sort of blue grey, so we'll take some of this colour and add some magenta to it. That's already almost there, look. See the colour there? A little bit lighter. A bit more greeny to it. We've virtually got the colour there. Let's test it and see. Yes, I think we'll get a bit more white there. There we go. So back to making this grey again. We need a lot more of it, so some of that blue. A little bit of the magenta. Give us this blue grey. Beautiful pink blue grey. Test it again. And that's about right, yes. Really use all the paint up. So you don't want to skimp on it, but neither do we want to waste it. Which means we can leave it coming through later. If you see colours in something, just put them in. Go through all my paints to find the colours I want. So I keep a good amount of acrylics in. So we're using quite a bit of paint for this job. Nice big blob. Don't be mean with your paint. No point in being mean with paint, even if you waste a little bit. It spoils your painting if you try to thin it down and use too little. Right, carrying on with this painting, and got the greys just about in. Some yellow ochre and a little touch of burnt umber. Deeper golden colour, and a wee touch of green just to bring it back a bit, because that colour look is closer to the green. So it's surprising. It only takes a small amount of colour sometimes to change something, Make it right. There we go. A bit more of that green in it. That's better. Let's try that on the roller. Anything like the right colour now. We're building up these Prussian blue greys at the moment. Working these darks up. Even these chairs we can start to build up a bit now. Just get some of the colours going in. View to the roller. Just a bit more of that grey that we had earlier, blue, and a little touch of magenta. And I just want to, a little touch of yellow, I just want to overlay that just a little bit. See what I can do with that. Right, now at last I'm going to move to my black. I've got other colours to work in between, but this is just to really start to pull out these shapes and really give an indication of what the thing's going to look like eventually. And it's amazing how much we can do just with the rollers only. Rollers and putting the right shapes in the right places, I keep saying. It's a lovely thing to do, it's a lovely way to paint. It really is gorgeous doing this sort of work. Plenty of black now. Really going to lather it on. If I let it dry and work up with the brushes more. So the closing stages of the underpainting to do. Letting the colours just glow through underneath a bit. Back. Come back and tart around this later. I just want to get these shapes in. Just hint at these things going on in the background at the moment. We'll come back with a bit more detail later. All I want is just the major shapes at the moment. That's about as far as I can go with the darks at the moment, but there we go. Just get a feel of it, and then we need to start working up with the brushes, I think. Now, what fun, eh? So we'll leave that for a moment and come back when it's drier. Right, now it's time to continue with the brushes. We've got enough, I think, done with the rollers. We now want to start picking out more details. Even though it's quite fun, as lovely loose as it is, we really want to pull it together a bit more. And we've got all these chairs and things to do as well. So what brushes am I going to need? Medium filbert, like this should do the job to start with. We'll start. It's hard to know when you come back into painting this, but we'll start with a cool reflection going on here in the and the colours vary from a light blue to a light pink. So let's start with this colour here. It looks like a smaller brush. Make it a little more pink, this one. A little bit of yellow into that. And a wee touch of the pink. Let's see if that gives us the right sort of colour there. There we go, we're just indicating them still. We're not going into too much detail, just feeling these shapes and making them a little bit stronger. I couldn't do them this small with the roller, so I'm going to have to come back with the brushes and just tickle them in with the brushes. That's a bit of paint there something. We've got all of these lovely darks of the chairs put in yet as well. Start doing very soon. I just need to get smaller brushes. There's another filbert. That's a lovely colour that. I've got it on my brush. We'll just look at his face. Just needs bringing out a bit here, I think. Even small bits of colour can make such a difference. These are what we have to find at the moment. These little bits of colour that just must make a difference in shape or form, light and dark. And how cools go against the warms here as well. There's a lovely blue against that bit of red just there. And under the table here, much stronger ultramarine just coming out under his arm. Quite important. Needs to be lightened up a bit. Let's have a look at that lovely flesh colour, which will be actually more yellow ochre, a touch of white to a hand here. We'll just give her a more flesh tone to a hand here. It's on the edge of her hair too. Where it comes down around that hair into her hand here. A little more depth, not less but more. And that still reminds me of what I was saying earlier, where this very good artist friend of mine in France said, less is more. Quite right. You don't want to overdo it, it becomes illustrative. Such beautiful variations of colours going on under here as well, which we've got to really look for. Really look for these colours. While it's on your brush, if you see it somewhere, put it in. Not too many of these details, it's sort of getting bogged down. I'm not careful, I don't want to start crossing T's and dotting I's at this stage. It's distracting, which that is, far too distracting. I'll go back over that in a minute with the glaze of white. Now what I have got to do is start building up these delicious darks. So a very deep blue and a black. And let's start on these chairs. Really get these going. Scratch it back if I need to. They're such an integral part of the design that we have to get these right. I'm drawing as I go along, so I've lost the original drawing, of course, so that's not that easy. And you can see what I mean about working as loosely as this. Gradually building up shape by shape. I was saying, by us being in control, we can stop when we want. We can say that's done, or I want to do more. I'd say we've almost finished this piece now. It's still nice and loose. I don't want to go much tighter than that. It's just a few things to tidy up here and there. Just checking for highlights, just checking for anything that just needs a little more tightening up. But I don't think I want to do much. I mean, there are areas I could dot the I's on, across the T's on, but I really don't want to overdo it. I'll just take a little bit more light here and there. Not much, just a little, just in some areas like that, where it might just be nice to get a little more reflection, say, from those lights. One or two places out here that need maybe a little lightening up, a few more bits of colour just here and there, just to play a bit more with the light. Don't want to overdo it, like I say. In fact, that's almost too much then. I'll take that back a bit. And while I'm on those little bits of light, just look at them around here. And I think, for the moment at least, I shall leave it there. Just these last little bits of reflection and light I want to pick up. I haven't quite got in here. And then we'll just try and indicate some of these little bits of menu and light in the background here. People and just to finish it off. There we go, I think that'll do it. So we'll start off with our mixing palette and palette of paints and the roller here, where we're going to mix the paints in, and there's a picture we're going to do. And we've got two paintings set up today. I'll have a go at this now. The colour I want to start with will be these purple areas here. So what we're going to do first is, it's best just to wet your roller a bit first. Just damp it a bit first. Otherwise you're starting off with a very dry roller. Too wet and it dribbles everywhere. Yeah. But too dry and it's a job just to get it going, okay? Mm-hmm. Then we'll mix up this, we'll try this purple colour first. So we'll take a little bit of mauve, a bit of water, just to get it going. A little touch of white into that. Don't want it too dark. And you see it's fairly warm, that purple, it's not completely purple. A little tiny touch of yellow ochre into it. And that just gives us that slightly darker, you can see that colour coming, but I want the slightly darker purple, so I'm going to put a bit more purple back. Right, a little bit of purple, a little bit of the blue, just to make it slightly bluer. There we are, now that's a lovely colour, look. Yeah?
It is, yeah.
So a bit more water, we don't want it too wet. The trouble is that when I first use it, I'm going to use most of it up, which means you've got to start mixing more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's easier to mix. Right, so there we are, we've got the roller going, which roll a single would paint for a wall like that. Now we're going to go into this area here, so it's this one here, and I'm going to just coat that completely at the moment. Don't let me get the old glitch and things. Right the way, you can see the drawing just underneath, look, so it's slightly thinner. We're going to build these coats up. Now I'm going to go right through here, right through to the figure up here, and you've got to get used to being able to use the edge of the roller to come around things. So we've got to start now getting used to where that edge of the roller comes. So I've gone right over that whole area of that. Now there's some purple down this area as well, so I'm going to start putting that in just around the foot. Leave that foot. Maybe I want a bit of purple into the foot there, look, because the foot's just showing some through here. So that purple comes right down through, coming underneath here a bit, it's flaking through there, right through here, just leaving it nice and loose. There's more of that purple coming on around these chairs down here. Wherever you see it, when it's on your brush, when you've got a colour on your brush and you're using it, put it in wherever it is at that time, rather than wash your brush off and then come back to it again later and mess about like that. So that purple goes right through into here. So you start mixing up your paint now. You get some on your roller, that's it.
White and okay.
Little white first, that's right. Get it a little bit too light, that's right, a little bit more purple in there. That's a little touch of the blue as well. So a touch of blue, that's what I'll put that in next. Now a little tiny touch of the yellow ochre, just to bring it back a bit. Only tiny touches, that's right.
Ooh.
Maybe a bit much, yeah. So now we're going to put a bit more purple and a bit more blue in. That's, we could have only use it anyway. Yeah, a little. That's about right now. That's okay. Right, where you go.
It soaks up the paint.
Yeah, it does. This is it. So the first one especially. And what we tend to do is we don't wash the rollers, but very seldom.
Right.
We tend to try and mix more colour going along, so it's always some paint on the roller.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, you tend to have to, you find them missing masses of paint, and it gets all wet and horrible. You really got to push quite hard at first, go over and over again, and quite quickly. That's it. Nice fast strokes. That's it. Really, really go quite fast. And directional strokes are fun too. So, we can go different directions on it to get a feeling of texture and a feeling of movement. So the same areas I've done right the way up and through now. I'm going to cut myself in it now. On my arm already.
So the edge.
So that's that. And over here a bit too, I think, a bit of purpley pink. Some down there.
How do you do the edge? Keep that there. The edge.
That's right. Just go up to it. And don't worry if you go over slightly. It really doesn't matter.
Okay.
In fact, even his trousers have a bit of this one. I'm going to go ahead with his trousers too.
Are you using my paint now?
Yeah, because yours is a bit darker than mine, so I can use this to advantage. And then you'll be lost.
Yes, exactly.
A little bit under his chin here. So wherever that colour is, look, I'm starting to work it up. Using just the edge of the roller. You can even drag the roller like that, look. So I can drag it slightly down the neck like that. So you can roll it across, but you can also drag it slightly if you want like that. So wherever we see this purple coming. Now if I wanted a thinner edge, then I've got to be able to, let's see, where is that? That's the sinus here. That's the light coming up there, so that bit is this dark bit. I'd have to use that edge like that to paint it more thinly.
I have to try that because
you've got to get into the control of the roller so that we just blend over. It's quite nice having underpainting, so we are underpainting. We're going to bring colours over this. Okay. Now we're going to go on now. We've got to think about this lighter blue colour down here. This lighter blue grey. So I'll take some more white. We're not bothering cleaning the rollers at all. We'll add a little bit of cerulean blue into that. And we get a much lighter blue grey colour, which isn't far off that colour there. Look. Maybe a tad more pink in it. So I'm going to take a little bit of magenta. These colours are quite subtle and they're quite important because you want nice vibrant colour, don't you?
Yeah.
Oops. There we go. Put that on the side, and the roller doesn't tend to, because we've used most of the paint up off the roller, it picks up the new colour quite well, look. And we're going to go in, now that's a little bit too dark. In fact, now we look where that colour is. If it's not quite right, say, well, is that colour anywhere else? Yes, it's down here. So I'm going to use that colour. I want to make a lighter colour yet, but wherever I see it, I'm going to use that colour then. Rather than mix it all up again, we'll use it somewhere else. That's coming down here as well.
Well, mine is actually a bit lighter.
That's all right.
Because I've got less paint on it, I think.
Well, you've got to put more paint on your. If you make your paint a little bit thin, so you've got to really press hard and work it on into several coats, so you don't have the canvas showing through too much.
Yeah.
Here you've got the canvas showing a bit much, so we'll be doing second layers and that later anyway, but you'll get the idea. See how thick I'm painting mine?
Yeah.
You've got a lot of canvas showing through.
Yes.
We really do need to get thicker coats.
Right. Yes. More paint.
Mix up some more. Little bits across there. Different directions. Now I'm going to use so I'm using the roller in different directions here now as well. You see how I'm getting the effect now of the stonework by just dragging across and
Yeah, it's good.
it's coming. Mix some more up. That's better. Now you're getting a much thicker layer on, which is far better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good. It just takes a bit of getting used to, like any new technique or medium. It's quite fun to paint together like this. I think it's
Yeah, it's great.
something different. This is nice about having a private lesson, because you can do this. You couldn't do this with a group very easily, you know. Well, you do. You can say, right, all follow me, and we all. But it's not quite as easy. Right. So again, this chair is the lighter grey here. Now this is how I'm using the edge of the roller now.
Yeah.
To get down this chair drawing.
The leg.
Yeah, the leg. So rather than using the whole roll, it's a bit crude, but we'll tart it up later. But we just want to get the basics in at the minute. I need loads of that colour, so I'm going to mix some more up. So plenty of water. And more white. And a touch of the yellow into it. Cerulean blue. And a bit of magenta. And you get that lovely colour again. A little bit of yellow in it this time. Slightly greener. But we're going up into the walls more now. Still using this bluer tint. A little more magenta. Touch of the purple. There we go. Plenty there. That's it. Back into here and start these chairs down here now. Just little lines of it.
Oh, it's easier when you have more colour on it, isn't it?
Oh yes, yes. You've got plenty of colour on your. His leg now, just start to form that bit of the leg coming down there. Just with one stroke, you see, just keep it simple, but do cover. So you haven't really covered that figure with a deeper colour yet, so you may need to go back on that a bit later. I'm just going to put a small coating of the light just there. One leg going behind the other, but you don't want any white canvas left at all when we've done. It's how rapid it is. I mean, we're covering canvas it's a very rapid way of working, lovely way to work.
Thanks.
Oh, lovely rapid way to work. Now if I use the edge of the roller, just watch this a minute. If I use, you see these stone effects here for the pavement. If I use the edge of the roller, look to start doing some lines.
Yeah.
You start to get the effect of those, just the very edge of the roller like that. But use the accidents. When I've just got a bit of white in there, I'm going to use that accidental effect now deliberately to build this up. Right, so I want to go to the sky, and the sky on the photograph, as they often do, bleaches out. So we have to say, what colour sky would we like? Well, this is cool and warm yellows.
Yeah.
So if we do a colour there, I think a very light green might be nice, which would, the walls would come forward of the light green, because it's opposite in the colour circle. So green, red, opposite, bring the reds forward, a very light green there. We can also put a bit of broken colour, a bit of other colour in, yellow in later. That will mean that these will shine out, won't it?
Yes.
So at this stage we need to wash the roller and everything, because we're going to have clean colour. So use up the rest of that paint.
Let me use that.
Right, we're now going to mix up this light green. So I'll take some white, as last time. And I want a fairly cool green, so we'll use a little touch of emerald and a little bit of viridian. And we'll get this and I want plenty of white in this. I want it very, very light. So lots and lots of white. Then we'll see if it comes anywhere else, because there's a little bit of green coming down here, but we'll make it a little bit stronger later. But this is just to get the sky effects. We'll see if this works. So a little touch of yellow into that, just to make it a little bit lighter. That's my excuse for putting my brush in the wrong colour. Right. There we go. Now we'll try that. Should be alright. It's only just light enough, but let's see what we can get on the roller. Again, you see how even though we've done the rollers, they're still very wet. Yeah, that should be about right, look. So it looks blue in fact, but it isn't. We know it's a green colour, but it will work against these warm colours. Now, what I'm going to do here is use all the paint up so you can't use it first. Is I'm going to come across this. So we've got this bit of sky coming down here.
Yeah.
But I want to get the effect of this light coming across the building. So I'm going to actually now start to come across bits of the building,
Right.
lightly, and just let the building show through as if it's reflecting on, and look at that lovely effect we
Yes.
get, yeah? So down here again for the windows, not all the way down, but you can just let the windows show through. It's lighter down there, and put some pink in that one. I'll overpaint with the pink. Well, now wherever there's some of this sort of green colour shining, we just go lightly across the buildings to start to give the effect of the stonework and the texturing. So we've got the heavier paint,
Yeah.
now we're putting this lighter tones on in different directions just to give an impression of the stonework. And you see how that works, it's quite fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again coming down here, again that chair, you've got to watch your drawing now because you get a bit lost if you're not careful here. The chair comes down about here, and I want to just indicate that chair in. So I've got to start just to get the back of that with the edge of my... You see how you can do it with the edge, look?
Yeah.
Just feel your way down the edge like that. And anywhere else it's behind, here a bit too, up here, that's a light blue. The whole, I'm going to make the whole of that light blue because I'm going to go with the dark bits again afterwards. This one here, there's a figure there, there's a light chair, let's see, where are we? That figure, it should be one here, and there's just a light bit there. You've got to just work out, putting, what I said about my jigsaw painting method of painting, where you put the right colours in the right shapes, in the right places, relevant one to another. Small little details we can put in with the brushes later, but just these more major ones at the moment. Just find that lamp that's there a little bit, that's coming in there. It's a basic shape, but it's coming. So you do that next, so I'll just mix you a bit more colour. So it was a little touch of the emerald, a little touch of the viridian, much. Make it a little more viridian. There we go. Very, very light, and it looks like a blue, but we know it isn't. It's only because it's showing against the red. So there we go.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
It's a lovely colour.
It's quite fun, isn't it? But it's not colours people would use. They all got to have blue sky. Got to have. You don't. You can actually really play with more colour. You've got to use your colour chemistry a bit, your knowledge of colour. Just across the top of that towel there, the back of shoulders here. Any little bits that we see in that colour that we put in with this. Right, we're going on now to the more warmer colours, the slightly pinker ones. So the same colour in here, I'll just take some magenta, and I'm going to take a little bit of cadmium yellow this time and make a much warmer grey. So all of these are greys basically, but they're just different tints of greys, aren't they?
Yeah.
So we've got a lovely warm grey now. Perhaps a little bit of blue into that, just to take it back a bit. I want it too warm. There we go. We'll use that up next. It'll give us a sort of a little more magenta on that.
Are these?
That's what we're looking at now, yeah.
Okay.
We'll try that out and just try it first. So I don't need to clean my roller. Right, so we've got this slightly warmer grey, and let's see how that goes. Now that's coming over this. So we've got, but this is what I was saying about the underpainting. This warm. There we go. Just letting the colour glow through here. We're just treating it very abstractly. Don't try and copy the photograph. We're just doing an impression. We're just making an impression of the shapes and
copy
colours.
the photograph, as you know.
I was being kind. I was just telling our audience really that they can do it, you know.
Okay.
So through here, down, a bit warmer just there. These lines that we're getting behind here. We're trying to lose this. So I'm going that chair leg now with that. This one a little bit lighter again. I'm going to start mixing up more of these blue greys now. So we'll just quite simply take some of this blue into this colour. A little bit more. Keep the white going. We're still using white as a body colour quite a lot. Yeah. It's not completely blue. We've still got a little bit of warmth in it, but it is bluer. So now we're looking at these sorts of blues around. That's fairly dark at the moment. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter, but we can bring those lights in later again with a brush. Not too worried. Let's just try that first, and if it's not right we'll put a bit more white in. Got to test a bit. So yes, there we are. This is this sort of blue colour. So we've got to see what's light and what's dark. So that should be. So we're playing one colour against another. We're always playing light against dark, rough against smooth, cool against warm. And a little. Don't want to make it too blue though. That's better. That's a nice colour. Look at that colour. Yes. It's a lovely. It's magenta and cerulean blue and white, and I've got it all on my roller. You can have what's left.
Yes, you not here. I mean, I have to scrape here. What's left on here?
Painting little lines and strokes, gradually making these shapes that give the impression of the walls in the background. Some more. I might have to get some more in a minute. We'll just see how we go. That figure at his back has the top of his head. Now look, this is why I drag the sponge. The top of this guy's head here. If I just drag the edge of that sponge down there, just push it in there, I should be able to get that top of the round of his head, and then his back here, and going across. So that's all we're going to do. Yeah, we've really got to look for these colours. That's right. And that bit
more paint.
You're not allowed. Blue coming through. And we've filled up quite a lot of the white already, well at least I have anyway. So we're going to make now the darker, start with these slightly darker greys. So I'm going to add some yellow ochre and a wee touch of the purple again, just to bring it back to link it, and this time a little bit of burnt umber to go that wee bit warmer. We're starting to get into these sort of warmer colours here, a bit darker still. Just finding how dark you've got to go, but we haven't got this. So we're going down quite a tone now. Look, I'm going to deliberately go a bit darker because if we're going to use plenty of this paint, a little touch of Prussian blue. That's right, a little more warmth. There we go. Now that's a nice colour. That's a nice sort of mid-grey. We'll try that one. Now I think around this archway here. Yeah, that's quite nice. Again, it's darker than I expected, so I'm going to go and use the edge and start to paint in some of my lines of dark.
Before you use it up.
Make some more anyway. I've got a bit of this.
Oh, it's going to be raining all day today.
Yeah, it says it right through to about 3 o'clock in fact, yeah. So this is our mid greys. And I think we're starting to put it into the windows as well, so got to try and add a little bit more water in that one, just a little bit more, just to get the edges. Find the windows. Let's look how roughly I'm using. They say do keep the perspective. That is important here. So I've got to bring that line through. Just see the underpainting going on. And then these darks start to make sense in the background. So little touches. For instance, on the roof here, it wants a little touch just along the roof, carefully there, like light, at the right angles. Windows. Edges. So this is where we start to just hint at, just to give them the impression of other things happening. Just little lines and dots and dashes. But the salient points, the most important parts, So here, for instance, I need a couple of marks there, I need a couple of marks here. Just the most important bits, just to make it look as if it is what it is. Get some more of that deep colour. I need more darks yet. Not too dark yet, just a mid-greys. Now a bit more blue this time. A bit more of the stronger, it's some ultramarine blue with the brown this time. There we go, so this is the slightly darker, bluer greys. It's coming, though, it's doing alright. It's doing fine. Now so it's slightly more blue in the grey now. So I put in these darks here. Now that chap's leg there, look, see that wants to be a bit darker down on that side. So we're getting the feeling, we also got the feeling of his movement there now. The guy's almost there, you know, without, just by indicating these shapes. Some of us haven't got time to drink tea because some of us are really busy painting, you know.
You didn't want one. You were asked.
I wasn't asked, but she knows I don't.
All right. So they're really small details, like the heads and things. So
we're just indicating it. Yeah,
right.
We can. I just put his head in there, but you know, I've got to just work around it. And we're cutting into a lot of the shapes. You know, a lot of these shapes that I'm doing are going to be like the chair leg I've left behind. I'm cutting into that. I'll come back across with lighter colours later. Right, now I'm going to make a more golden colour, slightly lighter, a little bit of white, some of the magenta. I don't want it too light, but just a little bit of blue just to take it down a fraction. And now the warmer, slightly warmer, but still fairly dull, quite a thin layer.
Is that for the golden areas?
Yeah, I want to start building up these warmer, just to sort of see I'm doing it very thinly over the top, just to build up these warmer tints over the surface, right down through here. Again, especially through this area here where I've just been quite strongly there, and down through there. All of this area. Now I can get rid of all of this white by putting on this warm through this area here. So we're going to really now, we're losing all of the white at last.
What's the colour? The colours you used here again?
This was chrome yellow, white, a little touch of cerulean just to bring it down a bit, and magenta. We're going to go a little bit more pink in a minute still, so I'm trying to lose all of my whites quite quickly now. And there we go. I want to lighten it up even more in a moment. But you need to get rid of that white, so really do get some paint on your roller now and lose all that. There's virtually no white now after this. Use your finger if you need. Don't be stuck by rules, you know. Don't get stuck entrenched in ways that you've got to be done this way, it's got to be done. You change it as you need. And now you see the problem with the white showing. You know, we might need to go back in with the brush even. You need to lose that white. It's not giving you a whole light, it's getting in between. So you may have to give a wash with the brush here and there just to tidy up, or mix up some more paint. But that's the effect we need to bring the lights on top. If you've got this white showing everywhere, it's destroying it. You can see how I'm bringing out one shape to another. Have you finished with the pink just about? Or?
Yes.
You made a bit more pink around. Watch these lights here. Pinks all the way down around, even into his body. Round here, look, there's a lot more pink in there than you think. And go across as well, that's right. Even these bits look on the stone. You see, I'm just using the edge of the roller here to get the bits of
Yeah.
light.
Oh yeah.
So texture, this is what we're now picking out is is just indicating these bits of light, and before we go a bit lighter still, right, I'll wash that palette and roll it again. So now we're going to start on our lighter highlights, which we're going to do mainly with the brush later, but if we can just hint at some of these things now, it'll help.
Okay.
Just gently getting these bits of light reflecting. Even the little lines on things like that look quite important.
Yep.
At the edge of your roller, just hinting at.
Okay.
You see the difference even that makes? It suddenly gives
Yeah,
it luminosity.
it does. Yeah.
So we're now working up to our final. That's why I say it's going to, when it does happen now, it's going to happen quite quickly. Just drawing little shapes of colour where things, you know, into the table there, for instance. We've got to start really drawing into things, feeling these little marks has a meaning now. Even on the edges of her arm, for instance, there, or inside his face here, each of these little bits is important. Right, and then most of the rest of the lights I'm going to put in with a brush. What I want to do now is just a little bit more white. I'm going to make some a much lighter colour up here. That brush needs to be washed now. I'm just going to take some lemon yellow and white, which is much, much brighter, much cooler. Before I use the rest of my brush later. And just put in some of these really light bits of reflection on the, you see the difference, huge difference, like when you, as soon as we start flicking in these bits of light,
Yeah.
it makes a massive difference. Just put them in where they are. Some more of that. Even if it just gives you, you can carry on with this at home later.
Yeah,
The point
no,
is
it's
just to
great.
get as far as you can
Absolutely,
today,
yeah.
get the idea of the technique, and then like you're doing with the other painting,
Yeah.
you know that you can play with it. You can even indicate words, letters, just by blobbing along. Just indications of something there. Look.
Yeah. This is going on.
You're getting there, but you say it's the white that's the problem. No, this is lovely, it's all really happening. When we get back from this, you've got to get these highlights right, so we're building up now to, we must get these, the drawing must be really right, so that's why we're going to move to a brush in a minute, because it'll be easier for you. But the drawing's going to be really good now.
So I lost this figure already.
And I mean, some people would call that done. You know, some people say, well, you know, there's the impression, do I need to do more? And do you?
Yeah.
But we'll do a bit more yet. I mean, we can, that's the beauty of acrylics, we can go back in, but now we want to start getting these final darks, which really will make a hell of a difference in the shapes and the drawing. Just drawing the darks in like a watercolour, leaving the lights staying behind.
Right, okay.
So the drawing is important now. drawing in what we call negative shapes. And then we're going to come back, a few more highlights on with the rollers, and then we're into brushwork. What I'm doing now is just putting back across some of these midtones that I lost earlier when I'm trying to have the details of the chair. It's almost looking like a painting knife, isn't it? I mean, it's got that sort of texturing now that could have been slabbed on.
Yeah.
It's coming, got a lovely feel of light. It is just these, you know, the white is a bit of a pain, but otherwise it's coming on. You've got the basic dark. This is lovely. Look at that bit. Beautiful free, that.
Yeah.
So we're getting, when we go to the brush marks now, I think they'll be all right. I'm just going to mix a bit more purple up. So if you want any more of this is a lovely colour, this purple, if you want to fill in anywhere with the, that's what we need, is to fill in some of the shadows now, like these areas here, where they've been a bit lost. We've got to come back and put the lights in, got to redraw in places, in other words.
Really. I think I've contaminated your purple.
You should have, you can't go from black to that.
No.
Never mind.
Oh well, still a purple.
I'll use it a little bit darker there, not to worry. Right, now what I'm going to do now is start to show you how we can work up these with a brush. So we'll wash everything up now. Right, so now we've got to go to brushes, and we're going to want some smaller filberts and rounds to start to get more detail done. And literally we're going to be painting back in the shapes and going into more detail. So where there are darks that we haven't got correct, now's the time to start bringing them out. So we start to quite loosely use the brush a bit like the roller. Don't suddenly behave differently. Just start painting in these shapes. The darks, the lights, whatever you think. We're going to start painting in these details now as shapes, just in between and round. So a small one for his head there, and a bit more purple, and comes in here. Just indicating like that, yeah?
Yeah.
But just getting in the right places now. So drawing is important now. You are using a bit of line, but you're supposed to be putting the right colours in the right places. So something like this head, I mean, if I take a little bit of that pink and just soften that down a bit, but I've got that head there, but I want a little bit of reflection on top on his forehead. So I'll just drop that in, just indicate. And that's all it really, the top of this guy's head here. A little bit more yellow in that, a little bit of white. And we can just capture a bit more white still. You can just try and capture the highlight of it, so it comes around there. Then we've got his arm here. His arm comes down just onto the table there. This guy's got a little bit more light on the forehead there. You see our chair can just be formed by just a few strokes. We tend to keep it simple, as we were with the rollers, really.
Yeah.
It's a bit technique and a bit slick, but it's also rather fun.
No, it's nice. It's a lovely technique. This is where my figure drawing is letting me draw again.
Well, it is drawing skills now with shape.
Yeah,
yes.
it is, yeah.
Bulbs from that earlier. So if I look at this now, look, just very quickly, we start to paint in almost into pure white, but just flicking in
Yeah,
these lovely colours. Now we've got the underpainting.
yeah.
Really start to, and you see the difference that
Yeah,
it starts to pull together.
Yeah, I
bit
mean the
by bit.
highlights
Yeah.
are really incredible, isn't it? What difference then?
Yeah. We're just drawing into our objects, so that really, it's not the end of the lesson, but it gives you enough to know
Yeah,
to carry on, so that we've got the warms against the cools, even in the highlights.
yeah.
Around the back of his head here, it's light. And now this warmer light will make the cool background seem bluer. So that makes a difference
that's
too,
right.
you see. You can come back with these colours any time, you see, and say, right, we need to come back behind this head, make it a lot smaller.
Yeah,
It needs to be taken right down to, and they're almost there straight away.
Yeah.
Just get the shape, so that now that shape needs to be taken up behind
yeah.
with these pinks. So it's one block of colour again. Now look how that works,
yeah.
straight
Yes.
away.
Yeah.
And then watch this arm, it's that length, it comes down to there, just keep it simple, keep it very simple shapes. That one here, a bit too low, there, straight down, look, it's there.
Yeah,
Simple shapes, okay?
yeah.
Well done. Been a hell of a day, but you
That
like
was
it,
good.
really.
I like it. I
Really
really
achieved
like
today,
it.
haven't we? Yeah.
I do like it. Actually.
Good.
It's a good.
And which brush to use is important as well. I mean, for instance,
Yeah.
I'm going to go to a fill, but this leg here wants to be fairly chunky. So I'm going to take a bigger brush and the blue, and just in a couple of strokes, hopefully, there we are. You know, bigger brush, one or two strokes, don't overdo.
Yeah,
Just down, finely, a bit behind. And that's just an indication of something. We don't want to be overdoing it.
no.
Same here, just an indication of the blue. There's a bit more blue going on back of the figure behind here. And you know, these little shapes of colours are so important. And a little bit more blue. This figure here, look, this little the blue one behind, so the red there, then we've got this figures here.
Yeah.
And that cool is quite important because it plays against these colours. Again, a little bit bluer still. So we've got a warmer blue against that. So take a little bit warmer blue, just a wee touch of it,
Yeah,
and the difference that can make.
yeah, it does.
Same here now. Take that same blue, and add a bit more of that warmer blue. Deliberately down here, just to bring that jeans. Now we've got the feeling of jeans.
Yeah.
But it's only a hint.
I won't finish it. I take it home because
Yeah.
sometimes I
Well,
need to
absolutely.
rest.
Well, yes. I mean, now you're on brushwork. You've got your
Yeah.
own brushes. You can't
can,
you?
yeah.
So it's not such a. To paint
Would you
that
put
much.
oil on top of it or just
Just
finish it
carry with
acrylic?
acrylics, unless you feel. I mean, you won't need the strength of the oils. These acrylics are quite strong enough, aren't they? We'll
Yeah,
find
they
them.
are. Yes, nice. I like it. It's good. I have to go to the vet.
What's wrong with you?
No. Yes, exactly. The dying cat.
After my lesson, you mean?
Yes. Great, Peter. That was really helpful.
Good.
That was a good lesson.
Right, my student's now disappeared. She can carry on with the work at home. She's got all the basics, 2-hour lesson, and I've shown her really all the basics of what she needs to know to get a painting like this done. Now we'll carry on ourselves. working up these shapes and colours. Keep the paint marks simple, straightforward, clear, bold. So things can be adjusted with acrylics at any time you like. And we stay as loose as we want. Like I was saying earlier, we're the ones in control, so we can say it's finished whenever we like. It's not in control of us. If we start loose, we can finish tight. And it's hard to know how much further to go with this one, because I feel actually I'm almost there. I really don't want to do too much more, because I like it nice and loose like this. And I think I actually might call it finished at that. Didn't need to do much more, just wanted to get the feel of it, the atmosphere of it.